before I started doing a little research, but before we even started recording, what do you do?
I know.
You do it all, right?
I was like, oh, you research?
It's hard to research. Yeah, it's hard to. It's hard to.
And the worst part is, I feel like I tell people, there's nothing that I can't do but quit.
Oh no, see that? There we go. Never mind. Let's go ahead and start recording. We can go ahead. You want headphones?
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy T Danzy. You are now tuned into Get
Everything goes with the bag it and flip it, whatever. It's a DBS sound. Wait for the breakdown. Perfect.
Everyone lift up, get right, get hype, head nod, bounce if you feel vibes. It's time to make move, make do whatever I got. I'ma give you, wish you a better life. Haters always checking, making sure my level's right, but I'm making sure my max is right, kilo tight. Attacking the mic, not underestimated. Like it's a new day, I'm broke, time to make this money right.
But I do a little bit everything. Like I said, I tell people the only thing I can't do is quit.
That's fire.
I am an artist, creative entrepreneur, also known as an ACE of all trades and a master of self. So yeah, I call myself an ACE.
Oh yeah, that's definitely gonna be the title of this one, ACE.
Yes, ACE, because
Friday is dope.
you
ACE.
get tired of trying to explain what it is that you do professionally.
Yeah.
Whenever you are capable and you see the overlap in certain patterns and things. So I just started telling people what I do professionally, like who I am professionally. In the professional world, I am an artist, I'm a creative, and I'm an entrepreneur.
That's fine.
And that's going to switch disciplines. It's going to switch.
Yeah, that's real.
Mediums, but it's going to be those three things.
It's going to be those three things.
No
it might
matter
be
what.
a different activity. It might be a different event. It might be a different talent.
Exactly.
That's fire.
But if I'm cooking, because when you see things as an artist, when you're an artist, that's how you just see the world. It's like a pair of glasses that you put on.
Yeah.
So it's like whether I'm cooking or whether I'm designing or whether I'm decorating or painting or whatever, making music, it's all that same creative engine. Or starting a business. It's the same thing. So ace of all trades, master of self.
It's gonna be fire, y'all. This gonna be fire. Look, I couldn't even intro it yet. I just had to catch her. I had to catch her real quick because she just started talking. I was like, all right, we just gonna have to press record. We'll go back and do the intro after a little bit, but we gotta capture all of this. Oh my gosh, that's so fire
happy
though.
To be here.
Yeah.
Let's jump it. I was like, oh snap, okay, get right there.
So intro. Welcome to another episode of Get Right Then Podcast. I am your host, T Danzy, and today I have a very dope artist. Friday is dope. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm chilling.
Yeah, Friday, man. So you was kind of getting into it, but like I was saying, like I tried to research you. I tried to, I try to do my research every time I do diligence. But like, of course I see stuff, but I see a lot of different things. I know.
It's a lot. And I do a lot of different things. And I think that it's okay for us not to be bound by these parameters of what you think you're supposed to do. Because
Absolutely.
You're supposed to have different experiences. And the truth is, and it's funny because a woman, Angelina Corbett, told me at this workshop, she was like, the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
That's fire.
And it's so true. So it's like, it's just a slight switch in the medium, but it's the same imagination, it's the same determination, it's the same planning, it's the same focus. Logistical. It's all the same stuff. It's just the terms, the tools, and the techniques change. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just whichever language you're speaking. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. So I'm like, what's more than bilingual? I don't know all them other ones. Like I speak a bunch of different languages.
You speak all the artist languages, for sure.
Yes, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
So, and creation, period, I think is what it is for me. Like I love like the something out of nothing.
Man.
The makeover, like the before and after, I live for that.
Yeah.
And that comes in a lot of different forms.
It does.
That's what I like.
Sure. Like I was telling like the first interview I did, like even with the studio, this is probably the most DIY I've ever done, ever, like,
And it looks dope, though.
And so, but it was so fulfilling, and to see everybody come in here, like, I'm like, well, I mean, it looked good enough to record, but seeing everybody like, nah, this is like really dope. I'm like, oh man,
yeah, it's nice, but you got to get into a different creative bag.
Yeah, I did. It was way different. I definitely had help with ideas and stuff, but I was like, I really want it to be it. This time. I can't just be like,
now you gotta go all the way in.
You feel me? Like, it's like first space, like, and then I think I was really patient too, like, because I was just ready. I'm always one that's like, we used to always say, like, oh, we'll figure out the quality and everything along the way. Let's just get started. But like, as I've gotten older and stuff, it's like I really want stuff to be top notch quality first. Like, even if you do see progression, I want to say like I started with the best that I could first, and then all right, we did. So
yeah, always do your best, but also for me, it's so funny. I was just telling someone else this today. It's like, because I know I'm a perfectionist.
Me too.
I think a good piece of advice for the perfectionists out there is that, and this is what I try to do, if you're 85% satisfied with it, you got to go.
That's real.
Because that's somebody
real.
else's 100.
Real.
Easy.
Real.
My 85 is 110 for someone else. Like, so you kind of just have to adjust your let go and release percentage. Yeah. Because if you're waiting for your 100%, you're going to be holding on to it forever and ever and ever. So that's what I've learned. Is like, okay, if I feel like I got a B+ or a solid B, I'm putting it out.
C's
like,
get
let it go.
I used to tell myself in school, C's get degrees.
For real. Hello.
They do. They'll get you there.
Quite a few of them, boy. Slid through.
That was that hard reality in college. It was just like, you just going to get out of here, brother. Like that's all you can do.
The funny thing about college is like what they don't tell you is that it's actually about the connections that you make. It's about the act
I tell
of
people
going to the place and connecting with the people and proving that you can actually just make it out the challenge.
I'm telling you.
They don't need you to get A's. They need you to get out of the challenge. They need you to connect with the right people. Mm-hmm. It's about, do you have the notes?
Yes.
Can you find somebody that can help you get what you need to get? And that's going to show how you can function in the real world. Like, I think that's what's happening in college. It is not about the grades.
I tell people, like, the network you make in college is so much bigger than, like, the classes. Like, of course, like, because with most jobs, of course, you need some, even with more, like I was an engineer, like, you need some of that technical and class knowledge. But for the most part, it's really about that network. And the most I learned was that I was very study by myself, and I'll figure it out. And it wasn't until I really started, hey, you got the notes, hey, you got the old test and all that stuff, that I really was like, okay, this is a lot easier than just trying to figure it out with myself. One of my good friend Marquise, like, he already did that. He brought me in like, hey, so and so got this and that. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is. I was definitely killing myself.
Yeah, this is not what I was supposed to be doing. This is not how you survive. And for me, that was a huge struggle because, so I'm neurodivergent, and so like my brain is built a little differently. Mm-hmm. And there
explain
were a lot
that
of
for
things.
The people, please.
So neurodivergent literally just means that your neural pathways are a little bit different. Okay. So I'm autistic. I have OCD. Okay. A little sprinkle of anxiety in there. You know what I'm saying? A little sprinkle. Which is not really a neurodevelopmental disorder, but both autism and OCD are. And so there was huge social cues and social interaction and how things were supposed to be that was really delayed for me. And that this is when I learned that was the key to college. Because when I tell you, like, high school was walk through the park, like, I easily, you know what I'm saying? And then when it became, balancing social life with your day-to-day things, with school, with managing how to get, connected to people in classes and leveraging relationships and networking. Yes. That's when I struggled. Yeah. It was not the class. It was not the academics. It was all the other stuff that went with it. So it was definitely a big learning curve, realizing that it always comes down to people.
Man.
Unfortunately. Like, because
what it come down to.
You know, it always is going to come down to people. Like, people are going to make or break everything. Like, they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it is in everything.
It is.
And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, if I had more people, or if I was more cognizant of certain things that were needed in terms of, like, social capital, right? Like, I could have leveraged a lot more relationships to be like, oh, yeah, you coming through the crib and, like, y'all gonna, like, parlay for a bit. Like, hey, bring them notes with you. Or, like, hey, do you know about this professor? Or none of those things that I really used social capital for.
Yeah.
So it's like that's been one of the bigger learning curves for me, is just being able to understand and to navigate, not even understand, but to navigate the social intricacies of, like, neurotypical life.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, because, like, there's a lot of things, like, I'm a solitary learner, right? Like, it don't matter how much we talk together or that we work on something together, I'm going to have to go back by myself and sit down with it. So realizing that even though that's what I have to do, I also have to take an extra step to remain engaged socially, to go beyond and make that little extra interaction. Yeah. Because there's a benefit from that I didn't know or that I couldn't see, you know, before. But now I'm like, okay, so I need people. Okay. Yeah.
It's tough.
That's the missing piece.
Like, interviewing for jobs, like, I talk about my they always ask, like, biggest strength. I'm like, communication. Like, I can communicate well with people, get along well with people, etc. They say, what's your weakness? And I'm like, in the same breath, like, communication almost, because it's asking for help. Like, saying, hey, I need some help over here. Hey, I'm doing all this by myself, etc. Like, so used to just working by myself until I'm overworked, and then being like, why didn't nobody help me?
Yes.
And I never asked for help.
Asked for help.
Like, it's really on me. So yeah. So
I do that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have the tendency to be like, nobody helping me, and it's like, damn, but did I ask for help?
But you know what? We also live in a society that places a lot of value on individualism.
Facts.
That places a lot of value on being the top dog and like being able to do things.
Being able to brag. Yeah, about to say being able to brag, like, I didn't have no help. You know, it was just me.
Like,
in the mud.
Exactly. By myself. Like, got it how I can. Like,
all my teachers said I wasn't gonna be nothing.
Exactly.
You know, all of that.
Like, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym, like the whole nine. Like, it's just that is what we champion.
Yeah, nah, for sure.
And like, that's the exact opposite when you go to places where they value community first.
Exactly.
Right? And I do think that there's ups and downs for both, or advantages and disadvantages for both sides, because I think sometimes when it's always community first, what your personal desires and dreams get lost in what other people think you're supposed to be doing.
And then you can lose individualism.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to lose it. You definitely want the balance of both.
So it's like a little bit of that where, you got to ask for help. And it's like, yeah, I do. And now I realize when I see other people asking for help, or people will ask me for help, I'm like, why don't I be asking people for help? And it could, there's experiences where you might feel like, I don't want to feel like I owe somebody, or I don't want to feel this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, you don't owe anybody anything. For sure. They help you, and like, you keep it moving. Yeah. And now you got closer to your goal or closer to your dream. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's a lot of those things that you have to figure out. Yeah. To really help you determine how you want to achieve your success. For sure. Because at the end of the day, we all want this success to share it with other people. Absolutely, anyway.
Yeah, that's all it's for. It's definitely for the friends, everybody. Like,
so it's like, why am I not asking y'all to help me get there faster?
For sure, for sure.
But it's an issue. It's definitely something I struggle with. Yeah, I'm still struggling with.
Still, same. So Friday is dope. What is? We know it's an ACE, but in detail.
Yes.
What is Friday is Dope?
Ooh, okay. So Friday's Dope is a visionary arts, media, and entertainment conglomerate. It was founded in 2021. Okay. It is ultimately the culmination of all of my artistic and corporate and creative experiences. Okay. So I've done a lot of things in my life, from event production to administration to technology to music to marketing to entrepreneurship, and just a lot of different areas where I've kind of corralled everything that I do now into creating art and then helping ACEs to develop their brand experience. So I do digital tools, I create online resources, and honestly, I just build aligned community to help artists to find those things that they need to develop their brand experience, to figure out who they are, who they're targeting, how to reach those people, and how to stay aligned with their larger vision and mission. And if they don't have one, how to develop that. So I'm like I'm an artist first, and that's why it's ACE. Everything is in the right order.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
an artist, then I'm a creative, then I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But that other side of that was just realizing the hacks that I get. And sometimes I think this is also being neurodivergent when it comes to high pattern recognition.
Okay.
Right? So like how I was saying before, the way you do anything is how you do everything. I see the overlap in certain things. So for me, it's not a big deal that I make music and design my website, right? Like, it's not a big deal for me that I do graphic design and then I also, will do event programming or whatever. Like, all of these things have all the same elements in my head. It's a two-part philosophy, which is organize and then create. So first you organize all the details, whatever information, and then you create whatever it is that you're going to create. That's all it is. It's very simple, right? So I do that. And like I said, I make Afrofuturistic Black Americana music. This is a new term that I just went ahead and broke that down.
You gotta come back and break that down, but I'm gonna let you continue.
Yes. So when it comes to the music side, I make Afrofuturistic Black Americana music, which is inspired by what I realized is that the music that I make is all Black Americana music. And I didn't realize it because I'm mostly a rapper, right? And so when I think about rap, you forget that it's Americana. That it's like made here. But I also am inspired by gospel music, by jazz, by blues. And so what I started realizing more and more, I'm like, oh, this is all original music made by black people in America.
Yeah, that's fire.
And so then I said, everything that I do kind of has a lens looking forward, and I love Afrofuturism as like the concept. It's a literary concept that basically is about reimagining the future through a black lens.
Okay.
And so a lot of the content that I have is inspirational, it's empowering, it's reflective, it's observational, and it's always conceptual. So I feel like Afrofuturistic Black Americana music was the right term because it's not just hip hop, it's everything that I feel black people have contributed to musically in this country. And I also like reclaiming the term Americana because if most people hear Americana music, they'll think country or they'll think folk. And there's a lot of black country artists and a lot of black folk artists that don't really get a lot of shine. And I'm like, well, if we talking Americana, don't that mean music made here? So I'm like, hip hop is Americana.
That's real.
Like, gospel is Americana. Jazz is Americana. So these are the things that influence the music I make, and I'm basically just reclaiming the term because it is an influence of all those things. So you will hear live instruments, you will hear me singing, you will hear a lot of spiritual like intonations and cadences and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, okay, we Black Americana, Afrofuturistic Black Americana music, and keep it moving from there. And I think that it just allows me not to feel so boxed in when you say, like, oh, you're a hip-hop artist. A lot of people think about that in a particular way. I'm like, not only do I not want you to be disappointed when you hear this, because it's at best it would be, like, alternative or experimental hip-hop. Right? But I'm like, no, there's definite influences of these other art forms in the music. So, so that's what I do music-wise. But then when it comes to developing digital products and things like that, I love to, I guess, educate would be the best way. I think a lot of people, I used to do consulting, and I would do consulting with small business owners, entrepreneurs, and I also worked with artists and creatives for a bit, and now I've just dissolved that part of the business. But I would realize, like, okay, you do consulting, and then you're kind of telling people the same things a lot.
Yeah.
And you start like, okay, let me walk you through the brand discovery process, or let me walk you through this. And then all of a sudden I was like, no, let me build a product that anybody can purchase, and it'll walk you through the same process. So I'm all about building passive business models so that I can get back to making Afrofuturistic Black Americana music and creating like the art side of things. I love connecting artists with resources, and I think that one thing that a lot of clients told me is that I provide clarity.
That's fine.
So they feel empowered and they feel clear after we talk. And I feel like, well, I don't want to just have to be limited to being able to do that on such a small scale. Like, I would love for 1 million people.
Of course,
You know what I mean? Like, to level up whatever aspect that I might be able to help them with, whether that's designing an experience or understanding the art of admin or understanding how to really, like, make an experience or make their designs feel like an experience. So I do a lot of different things, making templates, EPKs, like, what happened was, the stuff that I realized I was doing a lot, I started turning it into products.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? Because the need's already there. And the stuff that I started realizing, I'm like, oh, well, I need an EPK. Oh, all these other artists need EPKs. And they're going to ask me about mine, because once they see mine, it's going to be like, oh, well, where'd you get? So I'm like, let me just make this a template. And then, boom. So, yeah, so that's the gist of where I'm heading is... Honestly, it's arts, it's entertainment, and it's media. So that's the vibe. And I also this is the thing. I also am a filmmaker, so I'm working on screenplays, and like I recently been doing a series with my husband. Also, it's called Charlotte for Artists, where we go and we highlight local Alana artists Alana is like the new BIPOC. Just in case
okay.
Yes, it's like, I think it's Arab, Latino, African American, Native American, like however it works out. But we highlight local artists, and we also talk to like elected officials and business owners about the state of small business for artists in Charlotte.
Particularly to Charlotte, okay.
Because I think a lot of people in general, but also artists and other officials and just people in the community don't understand that artists are small business owners.
For sure,
that they have a huge economic impact on the community, and that they deserve the same respect and resources that we're giving to other small businesses. So I like to advocate for artists as much as I can.
And they contribute a lot to the community.
We bring in so much money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they definitely contribute to the community.
It's crazy. For sure. So I I think that about covers everything for the most part. Like, writing, music, that's pretty much it. My little sign in the thing that I made, it's like, make music, tell stories, paint pictures. And there's a lot of ways that can happen.
So you paint too, like physically paint as well?
Well, I mean, I do physically paint, but I don't no.
Like Picasso?
No. I just, I've painted, I will paint. This is what I'm saying. The medium
I missed something else. I missed something.
No, the medium really doesn't matter. So, but I would never, I would actually. That's the thing. When I make stuff, it's with such a specific end in mind. So, I decided that I wanted it looks like a spackled artwork piece or whatever, right? Like, they took plaster and they made this, cool looking piece. And I was like, it was $200 online or however much it was online. I was like, I I could make that. Like, I'm about to make this. So I took an old frame and I'm like, spray painting it. I used my art and creativity, I guess. It's funneled through very specific things.
Yeah.
So it's not the medium that necessarily relaxes me.
Yeah.
But I will use any art, any kind of way. Like,
that's real. That's real.
Like, for real. I was like, oh, okay.
And that's a talent in itself, because everybody can't do that.
There's just a little picture frame with some plaster on it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got you. So I'm halfway through with that. But I would never make that for other people and sell it. You know? Like, that's not really the type of time I'm on. But with the music, that's different. And then even with the filmmaking and things like that, I'm very interested in not only telling my story, but telling other people's stories.
Yeah.
Like, that intrigues me. Like, I love exactly, right? Like, but that documentary feel of, like, let me just glimpse into what it is that you do or your life and that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
that's why I really big up my little brother, JJ and Karan, when we did a mini documentary for Community Culinary School of Charlotte. So the nonprofit, it was super, super dope. And Karan filmed it, and then my brother did all the editing. I guess I kind of executive produced it, but like, I'm just like, this is like what I want to do. Like, it was just so dope. Like, and it wasn't something I had planned to do. Like, I had a 360 photo booth. I said, we do videography. He was like, well, can you do a mini documentary for us? I was like, yeah.
That's how I approach it.
Yeah,
like,
so,
I can do that.
Like, we gonna figure that out. But yeah, telling people's stories, I think it's something I always have done, maybe not on a public format. But then it's always something I've always like loved, enjoyed doing. Like, it's always so actually doing it with film, I'm like, oh, this is actually super dope.
It's really nice.
It's really dope. And the same thing, like, you get to put in all the work, and then when you get that final product, it's like, oh no, this is right. This is really something. Like, like, that's all you can say.
And the impact for other people, right? Because it's like, you're also giving people a vision of themselves that they didn't have.
Exactly.
Like, you're showing them themselves in a different light that they've never seen before. And it's like, that's the type of stuff that keeps people going and keeps them motivated. It's like, hey, I see you. And it's like a very visceral way to let people know, like, you see them. Man,
yeah. I'm saying, like, I think it's very unique, and I think until you do it, it's just a feeling you won't really necessarily understand until you like do it. It's a very, and like you said, seeing the impact, like seeing, because it was like part of like this graduating class there, and seeing the impact of them seeing it and their family seeing it, it's like, okay, like, this is really, really, really satisfying, and then it actually feels like I'm doing something impactful as well. So
okay, if you could do like any documentary or cover any story, what would that be?
Ooh, she asked me the question. Okay. Any documentary, any story, man. I feel like me is gonna end up being sports related though. Like that's the only thing I like truly like get excited about. So I'm probably doing like a real, like, from a, they've probably done it before, but I want to do a non-professional, which I think would be so hard to do, but a non-professional documentary. Like, not something that's going to be for ESPN, like a real, like almost like a Hard Knocks.
Yeah, or like, have you seen Street Dreams? Was it Street Dreams?
Ooh, no, I haven't seen that one.
So that was okay, I feel you on Hard Knocks. Street Dreams was way, way longer time ago.
Worse.
But it was like they followed these high school students, and might have been even middle school students, but they followed their career through I think whatever grade that they were in, through potentially going to the NBA or not going to the NBA, and kind of like following that story of what really happened, you know, in those situations. But okay, so you said like a Hard Knocks life kind of. But
it would definitely be something evolved around the Miami Heat, like, for sure. Like, it would definitely be, something like that.
Okay, so like,
But I want to do like I feel like that is just one of those things that's so hard to do because there's such a huge the NBA like anything that could even come off even sort of negative would be monitored. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's why it's like
it's hard.
like I won't raw like and so that's why I feel like I would almost have to do something where I would have to interview a bunch of people that aren't in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like or that
or
like,
that almost made it.
Yeah,
to the
you know what I'm
NBA,
saying? It
or
would have
that
to be
trained
something. Yeah,
and then stopped.
because I want it to be raw. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, you can't put that out like I would.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want something like completely unfiltered. I have full creative control of what it would come out. So that's why I don't think I could ever do the NBA. But yeah, like something like Last Chance U. Like I would love filming something like that. I've always like something like one of those though. I don't even know where I would do like a Last Chance U. I don't know enough about junior colleges. But yeah, it would be something like that. Like I think.
Junior college. Well, shoot, I feel like you should start here in Charlotte and start.
It probably
connecting with
is
the
some ways
schools.
though. Yeah, it is probably some ways.
But even like on the high school level, because you could be telling those stories.
Yeah.
And getting bread for it.
Yeah.
Like I think, hey, look, y'all got your, cause you know, look, them highlight reels and all that stuff.
No, that's a
all
thing.
them other things,
That is
like,
definitely a thing.
yeah,
the highlight
that's
reels and
crazy.
everything is a thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, like it would definitely like I'm a big. I mean, I love like films, but like I'm a big like doc kid. Like I always like because I think that's the more I've gotten older, like even looking at like artists or famous people, like I'm always more locked into somebody when I've seen them outside of just their stage or their movie persona. And I think that like it just, and I feel like it's something that's definitely kind of more recent. Like I think when we were younger, like artists were just this enigma that like it was hard to understand they were anything beyond them being on stage or them being like on the movie screen. I think more recently is when like maybe the last 5-10 years when they actually started doing like frequent interviews and actually, you know, just
like you know so much. Like you can look at Will and Jada. Like we just know so much.
Yeah. Now I don't want to know that much.
No, I know, but that's
like
what I'm
I do want it to be. It's like it's
we know
Pandora's
so
box, right? I
much
definitely want it to
now.
be in limited amounts. I wouldn't care. I would love to never hear about Will and Jada ever again. Like that would be great if I never heard about them ever again. But yeah, I think that's but yeah, I think telling people's story is so important. I think it's definitely a skill to do it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what like I'm learning, like really piecing together certain clips, you know, beef footage and making sure like, all right, you have enough footage to actually tell the whole story. Like you're not missing things that are vital to the story. And it's I think kind of like what you were saying, anything you do it, or everything you do it like say it again.
The way you do anything is how you do everything.
How you do everything. And I think that's kind of how I've been doing with the film here lately. I've really been like researching. I've been trying to I try to watch at least one doc a week now.
Nice.
Like that's kind of like my thing.
Okay, so what's the last one that you watched?
I just watched. See, I've been on my anime.
Ah, nice.
I just finished that Attack on Titans.
For real?
Finale.
Okay, so I'm still don't tell me
Man,
I'm still waiting because my husband and I are supposed to finish it. We're still behind.
Crazy.
Really?
Crazy. Yes.
It's funny because I think that once you start to appreciate other forms of storytelling, it opens up a whole new world.
Yes.
Because like I've always been into animation as long as I can remember. Like I watch cartoons well beyond any appropriate age.
Me too.
And then but the only anime that I knew really was like, and it was borderline because I wasn't on like Dragon Ball Z. For me it was Airbender, like Avatar. That was first, like,
that's my joint too.
Yeah, like where it was like a little bit of a crossover. But now I'm like, okay, cool. Let me check for these, like, because now on Netflix it's like its own category,
exactly.
and I'm like, okay, let me check this out. I've heard about Demon Slayer. Now
That's
Retsuko.
my joint, Demon Slayer.
So I've heard. I started it.
That's
my
joint. That is my joint.
Yeah, and then so Retsuko is
I haven't seen that one.
it's not I feel like I don't know what the like male audience would think of Retsuko because it's a little bit more. It's dope. It's super dope.
Okay.
It's super insightful and observational. But it's basically like 9 to 5. She's just like a corporate shill, and then afterwards she goes and does like death metal karaoke, and she's got like this whole other life that she developed. So it just reminds me of myself when I was working. Yeah, like when I was working, like, you know, your day job and stuff like that, and you just realize like there's this other whole beast inside of me that's like just waiting to be unleashed, right? But the little quirky things that you deal with your 9 to 5, or having a boss, or having, you know, coworkers, that kind of thing. But then also it followed the journey of her musical like growth, because she actually ends up like getting into a band and like all this other stuff. So it was really cool. Like, it's one of my favorites. Like, I'm ready for season 5, I think it is. Okay. It's about to drop at some point. So yeah. But I do like I like peaceful anime also. Like, I like sweet, peaceful anime. And I also like, again, completely other stuff. But it's like a whole new world. So I had to ask my cousin. I'm like, yo, what should I be watching? It's like Hunter x Hunter, Demon Slayer.
Yeah, my cousin, my brother, he knows all of them. And he always breaks it. Hunter x Hunter, I'm so ready for them to finally like drop again. Like, I loved it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter goes crazy.
Really?
And I haven't watched that many. I think I've probably only been like 5, 6. Okay, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah, but you're like maybe.
But like, I really got into like, I really didn't start watching them until COVID. Like, we were stuck inside. Yeah. So it was COVID. So I'm a big basketball fan. There was no basketball on, so I'm like, bro, I don't know what to do with my life. I have no idea what to do.
You gotta go crazy.
So yeah, like, and everybody, we were on the game, but then it was like, bro, we're supposed, like, there's nothing to watch. So like, my brother, I think that's when I got into Demon Slayer. I'm like, oh, that and Attack on Titan.
Yes.
And then what was the other one? Assassination Classroom.
Have you seen One Punch Man?
Everybody died by One Punch Man. And the first couple episodes, I'm just like,
it hasn't gotten me yet either. Like, I tried the first episode. I thought it was
I think I've seen the first episode at least 3 times.
Exactly. And you know what though? Okay, you gotta look at when you watch it, because I will end up, every time I tried, it was like, okay, I'm about to fall asleep. Right?
Man, I don't know what it is. Yeah. Like, you gotta get, I'm just like, bro,
maybe it's a daytime situation. Like,
man,
I need to try like on a Saturday afternoon, and then, but it's actually leaving Netflix soon, so it'll be somewhere. I think
it's still on Hulu though.
Oh, okay.
That's where I've been watching a lot of it. And that's the thing. Anime is what made me buy Hulu with no commercials. I'm like, all right, when I start watching, like, I don't need no commercials in between next episode, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I feel like Netflix has the best user experience.
Yes.
But I feel like
skip intros.
Yes, you can skip intros, yes. And you can change the subtitles during the show without stopping anything. But I think Prime has the best subtitle formatting. Because, you know, on Prime, you can change the way your subtitles. Yes. I'm like, yo, I just need one streaming platform to rule them all. Like,
everything,
just
please.
Put it together. But yeah, Apple TV has the best look.
Yeah. It's always that's Apple. Everything is they're gonna always make sure aesthetically
it's aesthetically beautiful.
They're gonna be the best one for sure. Speaking of Apple TV, Ted Lasso, have you seen it?
Okay, so I looked at the trailer. I haven't started it. I kept every time. I keep
quickly
seeing
became one of my top 5 favorite shows.
Really?
I swear, and I never like.
Okay, so I really gotta watch it.
I die and live by Ted Lasso. I love that.
Okay, so I started watching Upload on Prime. On Apple, I definitely been watching Changeling. What else is on? Oh, Servant. Have you seen Servant?
I've heard of that.
It's out there.
Is that the one that's with my man
M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes.
It's weird.
Yes.
I think
Apple TV's got some shows.
It's got some shows.
It's got some shows.
I didn't even know they had some joints until it was like, I'm tired of all the platforms, right? And
Severance.
then I went there.
Have you seen Severance?
Yes.
That's
Can't wait for season 2 for that. That's crazy.
That's crazy show.
But you know what? It's funny. Okay, so I have 2 EPs that's coming out. One is called Late Bloomer, and it kind of just talks a little bit about being neurodivergent or just like not quite fitting in, right? But the next one is about capitalism. And it all kind of flows together. And I think maybe, I don't know if it's just like the timing where you start noticing, like, when you buy a car, you start seeing that car everywhere.
I swear.
So I think sometimes it's like that, where it's like, okay, I'm focused on this concept, and so maybe that's why. But I've seen this rise in just overall dissatisfaction with capitalism.
Yeah. Oh,
like with go be a cog in a wheel, and that's it. And I felt like Severance hits on those points without hitting on that point of like just your work brain and just how demanding that can be. And that's also the other reason I like to encourage artists, because I think that we naturally live a little bit freer than most people, because we don't see those lines like the same. So it's just funny. Like Severance is one of those ones that like I was like, oh, I need to find out what's happening.
It's definitely conceptually so like crazy,
right?
Like, it's really crazy, like how. Yeah.
Like your work brain.
Literally your work brain. Like you have a whole nother life outside of it, and it starts.
Would you get severed?
After watching it? Heck no.
Exactly.
Heck no.
I don't know what they doing over the other side.
You could not. Bro was coming home injured and didn't know what happened. Exactly. Like, I was like.
With a note, like, oh, you ran into something. I'm like, hold up, excuse me. I need to know what happened to me today.
And then the fact that, I don't want to tell too much.
Yeah.
But
yes, we can't ruin it for the folks. It's a good
Tremendous show.
Yes, y'all should watch it.
But you asked me the last documentary I watched, and it was the Bishop Sycamore documentary.
What's that about?
That's the fake high school that like played on ESPN. They played what's the school? I can't remember the name of the school now, but the big powerhouse school. I'm pretty sure they're based out of Florida, and they got beat like 52-0, 56-0, something crazy. And then so them being on TV and being that bad, they got exposed for being a fake school. Yeah. So like. It's great. I remember the game. Like the game was great, and I mean, like not great. Sorry, the game was entertaining in a bad way. So like it was very memorable, and so like when they actually and then like everything came out like, oh, this is fake school and all this stuff. So it's like, oh wow, but like it happened and it kind of went away, and then so when it broke down, like the coach is nuts. He's nuts.
Kind of gotta be, right? I mean, you faking the whole school.
He's nuts, and like he's proud of being nuts. Like he's not. What did he say? He said, "Yeah, I'm a liar, but I'm not gonna lie about anything that you can't prove." He was like, "I'm only gonna lie about something that you can't prove." He's like, "I'm not gonna lie about something you can prove." That's what he said. "I'm not gonna lie about something you can prove. I'm gonna lie about what you can't prove." They said, you know what I mean? How lawsuits you have? He's like, lawsuits you have against me? He was like, he started cutting. He's like, no, I don't. You tell me. Like he's like,
wow.
He
on his Tiger King vibes. Like.
Comment of all comments. But then he swears that's what's so funny, because he swears he's doing it for the kids. Like he said, he's not making no money off of it. So he might just be nuts.
Or is he lying? Like, because obviously you ain't gonna lie about what you can't prove.
This is true.
He's like, you don't know where this money going.
So it's very. You should watch it.
Okay.
I think like it's very. Even if you don't, I always try to be like unbiased. I feel like it's like, especially about sports documentaries. I'm like, will you only enjoy this if you like sports or you like a particular team or whatever, or is it just good? Period.
A good story.
It's good. Period. I think it's one of those like.
And I've watched quite a few, because you know what? This is funny. I tell people, I remember this, like, and I think that this was a big thing that drew me to filmmaking. But I tell people, like, yeah, I can watch anything from the beginning. Like if I can just like get what's happening.
Yeah.
I could follow your story. It's like listening to somebody tell you a story, right? So it's like, okay, at a certain point they'll get to an end, but like at least if I catch the beginning of it, I can follow along with what's happening and see like, okay, cool. Like I feel you.
Yeah.
I understand your story now. But yeah, that's crazy. There's a lot of good TV out there.
It is. It is. We got distracted.
Yes. And then soon we'll be making the TV. Then we didn't get distracted. We was on the right side.
Remember we talked about how Tubi lets you put movies on and stuff, and I'm like,
hey,
that's
I know some
dope.
homies that's on there.
Yeah, like I think it's cool to make fun of them, but it's dope that there's a platform to really let people try it. Like
Yep.
I think that's why I'm not on it, but so often. But I think it's really dope that there's like a platform, streaming platform out there for that. So
Yeah, that I mean, if you think about how YouTube started,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
when
for real.
people were looked at as crazy
For being on YouTube,
It's
yeah.
like nah, Tubi is like it's a whole bag if you do it
Man,
right.
it
Like
definitely
anything
is.
can be a bag if
Exactly,
you do it right.
if you do it
So,
right. Mhm.
like absolutely, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I know people who have stuff on Tubi, and I've also heard that is the next thing.
I believe it. I
Like-
definitely believe it.
And what's even crazier,
It's just gonna take time, but like even like
the
you said,
bad
YouTube
content draws people even more though.
to it. That's what I'm
Like-
saying. Like
The stuff that I see half the time is just the craziest, most outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
But all that tells me is like, oh, you on there watching it. Like
exactly, people definitely go watch it after
Yeah.
the bad videos come out. So I mean, you know what they say, any media is good media. All media is good media. So
yes. It's for somebody.
yeah.
For
sure.
somebody.
It's
Somebody's gonna watch
minimum
Or
is
somebody's gonna make
entertaining.
fun of it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
It don't even matter.
That's where
it's
we
gonna
are.
get covered.
For sure.
Basically.
For sure. Okay. So back to Friday.
Oh, yes.
Back to Friday.
Yes,
The beginning.
we are, yes.
So how did all of this art, this ACE, how did all of this start for you?
So for me it started with family.
Fire.
Yeah, my dad
I could see that on Saturday when I
Saturday,
came.
right?
Yeah, like I was like, oh, she got a great like. This is all family. You could tell it's all family. Like it's
Yeah.
super fire. Your family's
Thank
super
you.
dope.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because that is like I tell people all the time. Like I make music because of my dad, and it's funny, and I have good taste because of my mom. Like that's what I tell people. But it's true. Like my dad is like he plays all the instruments. His mother was a gospel singer and pianist. She's like female Ray Charles. It was crazy.
That's
Like, she was
fire.
blind most of her life,
Wow.
and she traveled, sang with Shirley Caesar. Like
Wow,
she
that's dope.
started her own choir and everything in Panama City, and started several choirs. And then her father also was a pastor, but also played the guitar in the church. And like my dad and all his brothers and sisters were heavily involved in like the music part, and just you got to go to church.
Of course,
if
yeah,
they go to
you
church,
know
you
how that
there
go.
anyway. Right?
I know how that goes.
But she'd have them singing and playing, and so when I would grow up, like me and my cousins, we would, we sang, or my whole family for a large part of my family has just always been musically inclined and spiritually driven.
Dope.
So it's kind of both of those things together. And when I was younger, I was in band and I took piano lessons. I was in like choir and stuff like that, but never even considered music professionally. It was always film until I went to college. Then when I went to college, that's when I started rapping, and that's when I was more exposed to hip hop. And in 2015 is when I released my first album. So I moved to New York, and I was living there, and I connected with some awesome people there, and got my first album out. And now I've just kind of just been setting a pace and bringing my family in. So it's like, I'm going to make the stage, or I'm going to make the platform, and like, let's work, And like, I'm in a band with my dad and my husband. We're the Baby Buddha Band. And so like and my dad used to be in a band called the Buddha Band whenever he was in the military. So this is like the iteration of that. So for me, music is legacy and art is legacy. And my mother is a creative as well. And so it's just kind of always been like, very insular, like we've always just been real family vibes, and then also artistic, creative, faith, family, like that's just kind of been how I was bred. So it pours out in other things that I do, and I think that that's really where it started. And it's funny because on Saturday, that's just some of the family that's here, right? So it's like I got a whole other side, like my dad's whole side of the family. I'm like, yo, we got to figure out when are y'all coming up, so like we can cook up. And it's just it's always just been a part of the vibes, and I think that that's why it took a long time for me to even think about it as something professional. Because it's just like food. It's like drinking water.
It's so natural.
Like, making music is like just existing. And so what I realized is that creating those impactful experiences for people is the part that I enjoy curating and the part that I enjoy putting together.
Yeah.
Like for me to like make music, that's nothing. Like that's fun. I could do it all day.
Yeah.
But what I realized is that the thing that kind of connected me to doing it professionally was one, being able to spend my time making music, but to be able to do that with people that I care about and to inspire them because they want to do these things too, but sometimes they're not necessarily as inclined to create the platform or, put themselves out there. I'm like, oh, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you gonna come and you gonna sing. Like, even everybody that came through, I'm surprised you didn't have to get on the mic. The next time.
I snuck out before you. I was like, they're pulling people on the mic.
I was like, oh, I saw, look, and I was looking, I was like, oh, he's just gone. Like, he disappeared.
I was like, oh, goodness.
Nah, you gonna do it. I'm gonna get a poem.
I'll be prepared. I'm like, okay, now I see it. I like, next time I'm definitely gonna get pulled up there. Oh, gosh. I was like, I got nervous.
I believe it. And it was so funny because even the artists were getting nervous when I was pulling them up. And I'm like, it's a safe space. And I think that's what I enjoyed creating. And like I said, even with like being neurodivergent, there's a lot of things that can be overstimulating for me. I'm not necessarily like on the scene, right? Like I'm not at the club. I'm not doing a lot of things that other artists are doing. I'm not even building a career path for myself that's similar to what you might consider for a mainstream artist or even certain indie artists, right? So the path I'm building is very unique to me. Like I don't picture myself as like, oh, I'm out here touring the world doing like sold out stadiums and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, I curate intimate artistry experiences, right? So like intimate artistry is really something that I am putting my stamp on that makes you feel like, hey, yeah, you're at home, you're safe, it's cool. Like I want you to feel free and I want you to feel safe because if you provide those two things, you're going to get something beautiful. Yeah. And I think that's what happened this past weekend was like, hey, you felt comfortable to be yourself. Like we had people in there who hadn't performed in 5 years. Hadn't touched the stage. And I'm like, what, you felt good? Well, aside from the fact that I pushed them up on the stage, right? But it's like you still felt safe enough.
Exactly.
To do that.
Yeah.
And now you're going to be a little bit more inclined to put yourself out there next time. Exactly. And that's the part I live for. Like I live for the let me show you what you're capable of doing. Real, like you can do that. Like you're tripping. So it's like that motivational part or that inspiration part. Like I love inspiring artists to continue to make art because I do think it changes the world. I do think
for sure.
Even if it just changes you. Because sometimes it's like if you're stuck in 9-to-5 mode all the time, you need a little art. Yeah. To like keep you going and even just to keep you motivated till the next thing. Yeah. To keep hoping like, okay, cool. Okay, I got enough to keep dreaming this dream for a little bit longer. That's what I want to like give to people. And honestly, that's really at the source of a lot of the things that I do. It's really about inspiration and healing. Yeah. Like whether it's the music I make or the events that I curate or the products that I develop, it's really to help people keep going. Yeah. Like that's really what it is. Because I'm like, hold up now, you just disorganized. That's all. Like you don't need to quit. You just need to figure out how to like put it together and make a plan. Yeah. So I think that's what it is. Or it's like, oh, you're not depressed. Like you just need to hear a song. Yeah, you just need to hear a word. You just need to have someone pour life into you for a little bit. So that's kind of what it is.
Or pull you on stage.
Exactly. And make you. Can you give us a poem? That's what I want. I want a poem.
Right now?
Oh, can you give a poem?
No, I was like, no, I ain't got nothing right now. But next song, I have something. I have something prepared. Okay, I'll make sure I have something prepared.
Please do.
I was not prepared. I was in videographer mode.
Yes.
So I didn't have it, but I'll come prepared with both.
Yes, please. Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I wanted to say shout out to you. The event was super dope, and it was actually kind of nostalgic because it reminded me a lot of when we were in college. Like we started doing events like that in our house, and so like and I thought that's why I was even as you were talking, being an artist in those environments is always dope and helpful because a lot of times it's us that open up the mic so everybody would come, and that's what we would do. Like I would sing to get everybody else to start rapping and stuff.
Oh, so you sing?
I knew it. I knew it.
He said that on purpose.
I knew it. That's what I was trying to. I tried to slide it in real quick. I tried to like slide it and then like keep going. And I knew you wouldn't let me keep going. I knew it. I knew it.
I see why you left now too.
Knew, exactly.
If I had known,
exactly. I tried to slide.
Oh, it's okay. Well,
boom,
it's okay.
And then just keep, But
yeah. So you would sing and open up the floor.
We would do something. We might do a number. But yeah, so but it was really dope. Like it was really dope, and it was dope to really even see like as you sung, other people were very open to coming up there, and it was just dope. And I'm hoping a lot of people. I'm hoping you continue doing it, and I'm hoping like people continue to come. Cause I think like it really like even with like singing, like it remotivates you. Like say I hadn't sung or performed in years, like, and I go up there, it does something to you when you do, like, next thing you know, I'm recording again, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's really, those moments are always really dope. And I remember that, like, that would happen, like, people would be in the studio after they would come to our sessions and stuff like that, so,
Hey, and, like, that, okay, so also, that's what we're going to start doing, because I'm going to start sending people over here, they do, like, interviews afterwards and get their, like, artistry.
Oh yeah, the collaboration is on the way.
Yeah, because I feel like also like the thing about putting yourself out there, I mean, that's what happened here too. Like I had so many people who said like if it wasn't for spaces like this, I wouldn't be able to be out here performing.
Yeah, exactly.
And people were saying like there's nowhere in Charlotte that's doing this. And that made me just feel like warmed my whole heart, right? Because it's not that I don't want there to be other places. I'm just glad that I'm filling a void.
Yes.
Right? Like if that is what's missing or that is what's stopping you. And like I had my cousin, I was like, hey, would you come again? She was like, yes, I'm trying to come to everyone. She's like, I'm looking up open mics now.
She was fired.
You know what
she was fired.
Yo, and it's like, that's the thing I think when you have whatever that executive producer gene is or whatever that thing is where you can see it for other people.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to make this, but it's not just for me. Like nothing I do is just for me.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the goal was. The mission was accomplished. And I'm grateful to turn it into a series. I'm grateful to have that support. Yo, you didn't even see the pictures that Eric took. Yo, Eric Pratt.
Yeah, somebody was, he was in there flicking it up.
When I tell you he snapped.
Yeah, he was in there flicking it up.
You got to see the pictures. Like, he snapped. And so.
Did you start posting them yet?
No.
Yeah,
okay, so I'm real bad about that part. I'm getting to it. This is why you couldn't find nothing about me. I just want you to know. I was like, you ain't find a lot.
I was researching and I was
like. Like, she do what? And this and that? Okay, well, picture. I don't know. But no, I totally understand. But that, I think, was the best part about just being grateful for this space at VAPA, where you're connected with so many artists, the fact that you came through, the fact that Laren came through, the fact that Eric came through, and all these other artists came through and did their art also. So one thing that I didn't realize, first of all, I was so surprised at how incredible the photos were, but it was also like, it was until later that I realized I never really noticed him even being in there. Yeah, and you start to see other people's craft, right? Like, it's not just, take pictures. It's like capture moments. You're capturing this energy. And that requires the stillness in the midst of all this chaos. And it was like, I see you. Like, everybody was able to get a little bit more art that day. Because whatever he was doing was leveling him up or inspiring him. And it was also capturing this energy that's now I'm able to share with these artists that's going to inspire them. So I'm like, I love that part of the community. And it goes back to people. Like it really does. It goes back to that situation. Like culture is community.
For sure.
And so that wouldn't have been nothing if it were just me.
Absolutely.
And so that's where it's like, it's like I'm grateful to be able to be the host, the MC, like, whatever that might look like, right? But it's really the guests that make it what it is.
That's it.
It's like it's them that came through and were like pouring their hearts out and being vulnerable. And it was beautiful, and I just want to keep doing more stuff like that. Where it's like, let's just make some beautiful vibes.
That's what I'm saying. Like even with this, like it's really about the guests. Like it's dependent on the guests. Like I can, my job is to find great guests, right? but then also pulling great content out of great guests. But like it's not about me. I try to make it not about me at all. Like,
well, even though it was a little bit, that was my fault because I definitely am going to ask some questions.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Hey, I'm never against any questions. I'm an open book for the most part. So yeah.
So when did you start the podcast?
So the podcast. So Get Right didn't start in 2018. So it started as originally I talked about this a little bit on the last episode 4 with Tony. But originally I wanted to write a book. So I felt like I had accomplished. I wasn't doing anything crazy, but I felt like at 23 I had like my own house and like no debt at the time. I had learned about 401k, learned about stocks. Like I felt like I had done a lot, and more than respectfully anyone else in my family had done at 23. And I actually just wanted to write about it. Like not even like I'm doing better than you, but just really like this is what I've done at 23, and I think it could help younger people. Like it's really more focused for like early college or high school students. Like it was really just to say like everything I'm doing now really started when I was like 14, 15. Like even like kind of like how NBA players talk about it. It really was just like how I thought in high school. Like if you ask anybody in high school, like how I was thinking, like they weren't really surprised at what I was doing because like I always was kind of very particular about things, really focused, etc. And so, but I just want to talk about that some. But then like anytime I talk to somebody about it, it came off as, oh, you think you're better than anybody else. You're only 23, why would you tell? And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, if it's going to come out that way, I won't do that. So I ended up doing a financial literacy podcast. So this originally started as a financial literacy podcast. So just talking about stocks. I even had my dad came on one time and he talked about like, he worked at financial aid for A&T. So just, he talked about like that process and like, it was a Father's Day episode. So cool. It was about what parents should educate their kids on, like as far as like going into college or just being an adult, even like credit, like so a lot of times parents will just be like, don't get a credit card, but it's like instead of actually educating on credit. So that's what the whole focus was. But then it was just me more times than not, and so that's why I kind of switched it more to interviews and interviewing artists, interviewing entrepreneurs, and then kind of educating through that. And then it turned into like this, where it's like I don't really talk about money at all. Like I still try to relate it to money a little bit, but now I just like tell your story. I just want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot less.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that financial literacy later, though.
Yeah, I still think it's huge. Like, and I think, but I think so many things happen for me. Like, I think I was talking about financial literacy a lot because it was so much like it was what I was looking at every day. I was reading books and I was researching, looking at stuff. Like it was something I was doing every day with it. And then I think, my grandpa passing in 2018 is really what changed a lot of that. And I think that's when I kind of switched up stuff and just kind of, my mental was just way different. So.
How?
I stopped caring about money as much.
I got you.
I think.
Look, because I was really wondering, and it's funny. Because, I mean, I told you that I got a whole EP about capitalism. Because it really cash rules everything around me. Like,
for
really
sure.
Does. Even if it doesn't rule your mind, it's like everything around you.
Yeah.
And you start realizing just. It's so funny because it's like, it'd be the people with money that tell you, like, oh, money ain't everything. Right? But it's like, well, you kind of should take that advice because they do got it. Yeah. And they're telling you, like, hey, this is not everything.
It isn't. And I think that's where I was like, I don't want to say I had fully reached financial freedom, but I think I just reached a level that, like, a lot of people in my family hadn't really reached before. Yeah. And I think it was just a different feeling. So I think that was part of it, of why I changed it. But then also a big, like I said, my grandpa passing. So my grandpa was sick, and I debated going to see him or not, because I'm like, do I call out of work? And I think,
oh wow, yeah,
and so it was like a big, and so I think, and my job was like, it wasn't even on my job. It was literally me. Like I think I was just new. I've probably been working probably right at a year professionally. But I think it was just kind of like so used to just being on the move, having to work. And so I remember, and I guess also, like I lost my dad last year too. Sometimes you don't really know, like if you have family members that go in the hospital or they've been into the hospital a couple of times, you don't even know how serious or unserious it is. And I think, so I think I just was just young and just moving. And I think I hesitated going to see him because I had to work. And I think I just brought it down to that. And I think that's what made me go, like, once he, like, and I ended up, like, fortunately, like, going on a gut feeling, like, I'm just going to call out and go. And then, like, literally, as I was, like, pulling up to the hospital, my mom's like, I think you should hit here if you're not here. I'm like, oh, I'm around the corner. So, like, it was just, like, it worked out perfectly like, that way. But, yeah, like, it was just, I was like, why am I about to not do this to work? You know what I'm saying? I think that's what changed. Like, all right, we're not going to talk about money no more. I think it's still important, but I think it was, like, and it was so crazy. I tell people all the time, like, I remember when I started, there were not financial literacy podcasts. Because I was looking, or black ones, and I was looking for them. And I think, like, I just couldn't. And then, like, all of them popped up and popped off. I'm like, damn, I'm supposed to stick with this shit. But
Nah, I don't think so. Because I think what it's like, I don't know. First of all, I'm definitely sorry for your loss.
Oh, yeah.
I think that what you did was follow your intuition.
For sure, though.
And that led you in the right space.
Yeah.
Because I think that what you're able to do, or what maybe should be part of that, is that financial education or literacy for the people who are open to it.
Yeah,
right?
for
Because
sure.
now it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, as artists, creative entrepreneurs, oftentimes it's like those are the things that we have to wrap our heads around.
Yeah.
And now you're able to tap in with that audience and speak to them in a way that never is going to feel like that.
Exactly.
Right? It's going to feel like this, but it's like, oh, word, you know this part. Well, I know this part.
Exactly.
Like, let me show you what I know about this. Or I'd love to see some digital products
For sure.
in the future. So,
sure.
like, hey, get right, like a nice little get right pack or something like that.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I'm
sure,
saying?
for sure.
Take me through the steps of what that looks
Yeah.
like. 'Cause I
It's
think
in the
that,
works.
yeah, okay, cool. Because I think like that it wasn't, maybe it wasn't what you're supposed to talk about, but it might still be a big part of your mission.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've kind of understood along the way. I think, it led to a lot of just kind of self-discovery. You know what I'm saying? I think just like about my passions, but then also just kind of like, you know, like really identifying my gifts. I think I never have looked at myself as an artist, and then, but then somebody asked me what my art was one day, and I was like, I think my art is getting money. So I just want to help other artists like do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think, and so
Yes, we're gonna have whole meetings.
you know what I'm saying? So
No,
I think
for real.
that was, but yeah, just like the business, the project management side of everything, and I think that's all I've always like tried to do, even with Get Right Then. Like it started as a podcast, and now I'm doing short films and events. I think like it's grown as I've grown, as my knowledge has grown. So yeah. Sorry,
That's awesome. Okay, I was like, my phone ain't on vibrate. But no, that absolutely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think that it's something that artists need. And honestly, like the same way where I feel like what I offer outside of art is helping artists understand the other parts that they don't always understand.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't always understand the marketing. They don't always understand the branding or the what I call CEO mindset,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like a lot of what I do is really just talking to artists about like, hey, just don't forget like you're wearing multiple hats. Right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you're not just the artist, you were also the CEO, you also the finance department, you also legal,
Yeah.
you're also a little bit of everything.
They
So
want
you
to be just artists, and it's
Yes.
it's hard to function as just. That's why I like the real big artists have so many other people around them, because it's a lot to manage besides just the art.
Exactly.
Especially if you want to do it full time. So.
And I also like to help artists. Like what I like to say is like I demystify the art of business, because again I think it's just the tools, the terms, and the techniques, and that's any craft. Anything you've got to learn, you're going to learn new tools, new terms, new techniques, right? And then once you learn those, now you can take that and apply it, and you can create something out of nothing, right? So when artists will tell me like, oh, my brain doesn't work that way, or you know, those types of things, I'm like, but it does. It absolutely does. Like that's literally how you make art, is that you can see something, you go and you learned these words, you learned these tools, you learned about the different brushes that you needed, right?
Yeah.
Like you learned all these things. They forget that they learned it because they were passionate about it.
That's real.
So it's like, no, there was a whole learning curve for you to be able to play the bass like that. Like, what are you talking about?
Because it's so natural now. But yeah, and a lot of them, they've been doing it for so long. But it's like, no, it took you some time.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with learning the business side of being an artistic business owner.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's going to take a little time, but eventually you'll understand the taxes. You'll understand, you know, the deductions. You'll understand the P&L. You'll understand those pieces, because now it's just, oh, this is just a tool for my art business, right? To turn this into something bigger. And that's where I think the pattern recognition helps a lot, because I see the artistry in business.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I see how you get this blank canvas, and if you know how to flip these things in a particular way, you can come up with a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing across anything. Like, it's the same thing with science. It's the same thing with, you know, well, culinary arts or any art. Art is about that sweet spot of the whole thing. Like, there's an art in everything.
It is.
So I just
It
feel like
is.
helping artists understand that part. Look at you. I'm trying not to. That happened earlier when I was in the street, and I tried not to yawn. But there's the art in anything, and I think that when you tap into that part of it, it helps you open up your mind and be a little bit more receptive to what's happening. Sometimes you get this hard, like, coldness where it's like, I don't do that. Like, I used to tell myself I don't do math in my head for the longest time. I was like, no, I don't do that. And I just wouldn't even do it. Like, right? But then I was like, that sounds dumb. Let me stop saying I don't do math in my head. And I do. I just don't really like it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And so now when I started saying like, oh, no, yeah, I do math in my head, and like started playing little like lumosity games and things like that, I never think about it anymore. Like, I don't think about myself as a person that can't add two numbers together quickly in my head, right? And like you start, but what also happens is you start finding shortcuts. Yeah. So when it's like 9 and 5, I already know it's like, okay, let me move this one. That's a 10. That's a 4. That's a this. That's a that. Yeah. So that's the skill that you don't develop when you block yourself from even being open to doing something. When you say you can't do something, you already cannot.
That's real.
So it's like, yeah, I'd like to let artists know, like, well, if you're making art, you could definitely do business. Yeah. It's just different tools, terms, and techniques. That's all it is. Yeah. And once you learn them, you can, voila, the same way you do with paint or the same way you do with musical notes or anything else. Yeah.
And I think for me, it's kind of like the flip side. Like, even referring to, I think I had to start referring to myself as an artist to kind of tap into that. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not an artist. Like, y'all got that. Like, you know, like y'all are, I don't want to step in y'all's lane. Y'all are artists. Like, I just, like, you know, I like what y'all do. Yeah. And I step in, step out sometimes.
Like, oh yeah, but I sing and I sing sometimes.
And I got an album, exactly. But like I like.
You got an album?
But like, I'm not like an artist. Like, I just be stepping out. You feel me?
See, and that's why we're gonna go. That's a whole nother. But that's why I like the term ACE,
Yeah. No, I like
Because it's
that. Now I gotta steal that.
Please, like Ace. Now, don't take Ace of all trades, master of self. That is me.
Okay.
But definitely call yourself an Ace because
Yeah, for sure.
it took a lot of time for me to figure out. Like I kept trying to describe like who I was, and that is it. And you have an artist perspective, an artist lens, whether you realize it or not. And yeah, your entrepreneurial skills or your creative professional skills, if you were like a street fighter or a character, right? Like those might be higher.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it doesn't mean that the character that you've chosen is not still artist.
Yeah.
You're just an artist with high levels of creativity and entrepreneurial skills and all these other pieces, right? Or high, financial literacy and things like that. It's just how you came into artistry. But I really believe that artistry is about viewing things as an artist.
Yeah.
Period.
That's a fact.
Period. Because we could get into what's art and what's not, and that's a very difficult conversation. So I think as long as you think you're an artist, you're an artist.
Yeah.
And if you look at things as art, you're an artist.
Yeah.
Like you make an art.
Yeah.
Like
it is.
It's very, very subjective because an artisan is like the person who made this table is an artist.
I was gonna say, have you ever watched How It's Made?
Wait, no, I haven't.
Oh my gosh! But that I used to just I wouldn't even watch it consistently. But when it would be on, I'd sit there and watch every episode. But really, they'd just be like how Eminem is made and in the factory and all of that stuff. I used to just go crazy. That's how my mind works. Every time I see something, I instantly go to how it's made, from a water bottle to a light switch. I'll just something. I'm trying to think what the last thing I looked up. I think it was headphones actually, and it was I want to see how it's made and I'll go YouTube it and see watch the whole manufacturing process and everything to ship it.
Yeah, that's that engineering mind
it is.
right there. And it's funny because I tell on my resume, that's one of the things. It's mind of an engineer, soul of an artist, heart of an entrepreneur, the eye of a designer, right?
That's fire. Yeah.
So that engineering mind is really just that tactical piece that knows how to break down and build up.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's probably why it's hard for you to see yourself as an artist.
Yes.
Because you see it so technically. But there's art in that technicality.
Exactly.
When I see the people that just make little dots and then all of a sudden those dots turn into this huge piece of art, right?
They're fire.
That's so technical. It's such a tactician kind of thing. That it almost doesn't even feel like art. It feels like a robot just made that.
There's a tattoo artist that does that, right?
Oh my gosh, yes,
Here,
Maritza.
she's fire. She's fire.
She is.
I had never heard of it or seen it until I saw the tab. I'm like, oh, this is fire.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm actually need to. I need to add on.
Right? You have 8/11.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's your birthday?
No. But what?
So it's my dad. This is me and my dad. So his birthday was 8/11/67. He died 8/8/22.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 118 is a number that follows me, and 8/11 is my anniversary, and it's just interesting.
Oh wow, that's fire.
Yeah, that's a number. So.
Yeah.
Hey, we definitely have
Pops.
a connection.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's super dope.
Crazy. Yeah, it was 8/11/19, so it was 8/11/19. So
that is dope.
It kind of, and then it's weird with 9/18/9 being here, the gallery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's all these little numbers floating around.
Numbers be crazy.
Numbers are crazy.
Numbers are crazy.
I'm on that whole everything too.
So
I'm numbers, astrology, all of that kind of stuff. I'm whichever way you can analyze yourself.
You can only believe in so many coincidences.
Exactly.
That's all I say. With everything, all right, sometimes it's too many coincidences in a row. It's it's got to be something.
Yeah.
In here, out of that. Yeah.
The whole thing can't.
I do that so much, questioning if something is a sign or a coincidence. It's always so. Sometimes it's clear.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very clear, but what helps me make the decision? Patience. I think that's the biggest thing. Patience. I think that's the best answer because I think eventually it'll reveal itself whether it is. I think sometimes it's just something to note.
Yeah.
And not even take action. So I think that's the biggest thing is patience. All right, note it. Did it happen? and it'll eventually reveal itself as a coincidence or something meaningful.
Bigger,
So,
yeah. I tell people like the 2 secret ingredients for anything are love and time.
yeah, that's
And
real.
so if you don't have enough of one, you probably need more of the other. So it's probably one of those 2 things all
Yeah.
the time. And I see that like it happens a lot where I'm like, oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
this just needed some more time.
Yeah, that's a time
They're
is
like,
huge.
oh, that just
Yeah.
need a little bit more love. I got you.
Yeah, time, patience. Like, you gotta let time like do its thing. A lot of
Yes.
time. Like that's something I'm trying to be. I've been better at as I've gotten older, but like that's always a struggle. You always want something instantaneous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even with this, it took a tremendous amount of time. So
Sorry.
yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Love and time.
Awesome.
Love and time. we'll outro real quick. We'll outro. We might hit a part 2 because I feel like we were like still getting started.
absolutely
We will
run
wrap
it
back.
back.
But yes, thank you all for coming and listening to this week's episode of the Get Right Then podcast. Before you leave,
Yes, no worries.
one thing everyone has to do is hit a quick Get Right Then.
Oh, okay, hold up. Get right there.
There we go. Man, appreciate y'all, man. Please go follow us on Get Right Then LLC on both Instagram and TikTok. And we'll get right back to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace. This was up. This was awesome. Thank you so much.